Hi, and welcome to our webinar, Making Your Private Cloud DevOps Ready. In this webinar, we will talk about the growth of DevOps on OpenStack private clouds, the challenges operators face in meeting this new and emerging trend, and how Rackspace and Appformix help address these challenges. We will include a Q&A section at the end of this presentation. If you have questions, please submit them at any time using the chat feature at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Presenting today, my name is Brian Thompson. I'm the Senior Director of Product Management at Rackspace, leading our Rackspace OpenStack private cloud practice area. And I'm joined today by Sumit Singh.
Good morning, folks. Sumit Singh at Appformix. We are building an advanced cloud service optimization platform, and we are here to demonstrate it to you today.
Great. So as we start the presentation, again, the theme is really around DevOps on OpenStack private clouds, where OpenStack has become the de facto standard for infrastructure as a service in a private cloud context. And it is very conducive to leveraging DevOps types of practices and how you're interacting with infrastructure as code or leveraging APIs to do this. This is an amazing tool, and many organizations are finding they're empowering their developers and application owners by enabling this self-service capability that OpenStack and this DevOps model can provide. It eliminates those bottlenecks of traditional development and working with operators and other operation teams to deploy and update and manage your software distribution as you're developing, iterating on these cycles. And this truly does enable some of these new software development processes like DevOps and the continuous integration, continuous deployment models that many organizations are starting to adopt as they become more agile in their own practices and reducing that time to market with different applications and different software suites that they're working on and bringing out for their customers. This in turn can create a challenge, though, to the operators that are trying to power and manage those clouds. There's a different paradigm shift as we move to these types of cloudy workloads and dealing with container-based workloads or even more volatile VMs or virtual machines, as the lifecycle of these instances can be very short. Applications and tiers built in this cloud-native model are designed to scale up and grow very rapidly and then tear down those resources when not needed or moving on. This is a different approach to operating and managing. Operators trying to support these cloud infrastructure and the infrastructure as a service platforms that are enabling these practices have limited visibility to the overall demand, or the with more burstable workloads, there's less visibility from a capacity planning and their ability to be more proactive to guarantee certain levels of service availability and performance to their end customers. The access to real-time telemetry and that type of indicative performance data of how these OpenStack services are performing and how the overall cloud is performing and scaling becomes a large challenge to operators, as again, they are striving to provide a consistent, highly scalable, highly performant platform so that their internal customers, the developers, the application owners, are able to leverage these services in, again, a reliable, repeatable, consistent way and get the performance they're trying to get from this virtual infrastructure. This is a key challenge that Rackspace has tried to solve and continue to work with our customers to address in being the operators of our private clouds, but also becomes the key reason that Rackspace has partnered with Appformix to help address this challenge. In looking at operating an OpenStack private cloud, this has been the focus of our Rackspace private cloud practice area, where we will deliver that OpenStack platform as a service, if you will, providing OpenStack as a managed service and removing much of that operational complexity of setting up, configuring, monitoring, and scaling OpenStack itself. This can be a big challenge to organizations looking to adopt this technology, and we help remove that barrier to entry, if you will, by making it more simple to consume. As a guiding practice around this, again, we focus on that delivering OpenStack as a service to our customers, either deployed in our data center or a customer's data center or a third-party data center, and then providing it for production workloads, backing the availability of that control plane with a 4.9 SLA that we'll pay penalties on should we not meet that performance criteria for our customers. We do focus on being the operators of the OpenStack private cloud, and our focus area is around that operational expertise. Rackspace is, bar none, the most operational experience of any other OpenStack operator in the world. Between our history as the co-inventor of OpenStack, our legacy of operating the world's largest public cloud built on OpenStack, and then, of course, for the last 4+ years now, deploying and operating hundreds of private clouds built on OpenStack as well. And being that a single platform, if you will, for managing physical infrastructure, containerized workloads, virtual workloads, all running across private, public, and hybrid cloud scenarios is the value that Rackspace brings. Again, going back to the theme of this presentation, though, and as organizations are adopting that DevOps practice, we have done a great job of having that expertise around operating the underlying cloud, but we found in our own challenges working with OpenStack and peering into that virtual layer, how these resources are being utilized, how the applications are scaling and performing in them, becomes a very difficult challenge. We have partnered with AppFormix specifically to integrate their platform as part of our solution, which helps us both enable our own cloud operators, the Rackspace operations and support engineers that are helping scale and operate our customers' platforms, but also to extend that capability and provide their solution to the cloud users and how they can leverage these OpenStack technologies and work with their DevOps practices to provide a better experience for their customers.
Thank you, Brian. So AppFormix is a cloud service optimization platform. It works on OpenStack as well as Kubernetes. And what it does for you is democratize your data and make your cloud operations data-driven. So 4 big buckets of our capabilities. The first one is operational analytics. Now, AppFormix is built on top of a distributed data platform. On this data platform, we are running continuous analysis of all of the cross-layer metrics that we are learning from the infrastructure and deriving from there meaningful insights that's telling you, in real time, what's working and what's not working in your infrastructure, what's healthy, what's unhealthy, and if anything is at risk in your infrastructure. Based off of that analysis, what we can next do is make your orchestration state-driven. What that means is that if you have some SLAs that are defined as SLAs under which you want your infrastructure to operate, then we can ensure that as you spin up new virtual machines or containers, that the load on your overall infrastructure stays balanced. What we can also do is run sophisticated optimizations on every host to ensure that the different tenants that have their workloads running on the host get the access to the resources, the access that has been promised to them by the infrastructure. The third thing that we do is chargeback and capacity planning. Now, in any modern environment, it's very important to keep your users informed as to what they are utilizing in the infrastructure. And AppFormix can deliver that report-based experience to your users. It can constantly inform the users what they're consuming in the infrastructure and also how much it's costing for them to consume those resources in the infrastructure. Now, the fourth thing is self-service monitoring and alarms, and this is essentially the most important capability of our platform, considering this new drive towards DevOps. The entire AppFormix experience is built in a way where operators and users can log in and have access to the same dashboards at the same time, where they can view the same data, they can both set alarms, they can both get notifications, essentially kind of taking the silos away. Everybody gets access to the information, everybody can set their policies and ensure that their criteria are being met. Recently, we ran some benchmarks on the new Intel servers, and based on using the AppFormix technology in conjunction with the newly announced Intel Resource Director technology, what we've shown is that for application workloads, for server workloads, we can get 51% better response time on average and 27% higher throughput. Now, this is a pretty significant result, and what this result essentially captures is both of the analysis capability as well as the orchestration capability of our platform. I'm going to jump into some scenarios to demonstrate the capability of AppFormix. I'm going to go through 5 scenarios. The first one is, to troubleshoot. When it's very common, we all, if you're an operator, it's very common to receive calls from users who are saying, hey, my resources are running slow. So we're going to try and troubleshoot one of those scenarios. The second one is around real-time notification of events. If anything is changing in your cloud infrastructure, you should get instantly notified about it. And then we're going to look at the utilization reports and how they can be used to increase the efficiency of the infrastructure. And from there, we'll look at the real-time capacity planning capability that can constantly inform you how resources are being consumed in your infrastructure. So with that, I'm going to jump into the demo. So first, I'm going to log in as a cloud operator. The thing to note is that our software runs on top of your existing cloud infrastructure. Whatever login credentials you have that work on your existing cloud management system work on AppFormix as well. Now we've logged in. AppFormix is a real-time operations system, and what I can see here is the current state of my infrastructure. On this cluster, I have 5 physical hosts. On those 5 physical hosts, I'm running 36 virtual machines. Those 36 virtual machines are pooled into 10 different projects, and then the hosts are pooled into 7 different aggregates. And right in front of me, I can see the state of all of these resources in my infrastructure. I can see all the hosts, and I can see that they're all healthy. But when I look at the instances, it's pointing out for me that certain instances are in bad health, and and certain instances are at risk. Now, as part of the AppFormix operation system, what we have also implemented is a process level monitor that's monitoring the threads of operations for all of these virtual machines. And then if at any time there's any kind of stall, then you're notified instantly. This is a real-time experience. You never need to hit reload. And anytime there's a state change in your infrastructure, it's instantly pushed to this web application, and you can view it. Now, just really quickly, on the left here are the modules. We have charts, alarms, reports, and the capacity planning. And on the top is the selector where we can select the resource that you want to view. Currently, we're viewing all of our infrastructure. Now, from here, you can, of course, jump in and see the state of any resource. Now I'm viewing a single host in my infrastructure, and you can see up here is host 86. It's showing you what's been allocated on this host, and then it's showing you these real-time meters. These are real-time metrics that are being streamed from the server straight to this web application. If you were on the server and you hit top, this is what you would see. And as part of this host, you can see that there's several virtual machines that are running on it. And you can also see the real-time state of each one of these virtual machines. In this case, on our dashboard, we've also marked and said that, hey, 3 virtual machines are at risk. So let's hover over there, and it tells you why the system is saying they are at risk. In this case, it's saying the memory usage has been above 90%. Now, these SLA criteria that govern when something is healthy or not, or when something is at risk, are completely controlled by the operator and the developers. It's a configurable policy which can use either static thresholding or dynamic baselines that are learned from your infrastructure. The AppFormix platform supports both modes. And all of the information is available to you at your fingertips. Now, to get more detailed historical view, you can just click on the charts, and then in the charts view, you get all of the history as well. Now, the way we've designed this system, it's for real-time operations. So this is a real-time streaming dashboard. So you can zoom out, and get the history. You can slide back in time in the time machine, or you can zoom right in and get real-time information. So this information is being streamed from your server infrastructure all the way to the dashboard. And then what you can see on these charts is you have your host, and you have all of the virtual machines that are running on this host, and then these lists can constantly be sorted by, let's say you wanted to identify the top CPU users for your infrastructure. You can just click on the tab here. You can say CPU usage, and then this list will constantly be sorted by that metric. Now, in terms of capturing and displaying the metrics, the way we've tried to what we've tried to achieve here is give you a very comprehensive set of metrics, again, based on best industry practices and learning from several customer environments. We've tried to give you a comprehensive set of metrics that are cross-layer. And by that, what I mean is that, this system, you can get metrics from the physical layer, right? Things like thermals, things like, errors in memory, NICs, even, if your hard drives, smart counters are saying they're going to fail, things like that, to what's happening on the host operating system, how swap memory being used, what's the number of processes running there, to what's the footprint of every single virtual machine or container on that host system, as well as what are the different I/O rates, CPU consumption, memory consumption, and things like that. So, as an example, on this panel here, we are seeing the host CPU usage, and then if you just hover over here, you can see the list of metrics that are available, and then on the same panel, you can look at the instance CPU usage as well, and you can do this side-by-side comparison. So, on the left is like what's the footprint of each virtual machine on the host, and on the right is if I was perhaps inside the virtual machine, I hit a top, what's the CPU usage inside the virtual machine. So both the physical and the virtual view are available to you on the same platform. And if you wanted to drill down and get more details of a particular virtual machine, then you just go hover over there and you pick the virtual machine, and you can view all the metrics for the virtual machine. So that was just like a kind of like a quick overview of the dashboard and the metric system. Next, let's cover a scenario. Let's say user calls you, and user is Alex. He says, hey, Alex calls you, and Alex says, hey, my project's not working. Now, the AppFormix dashboard, this user experience, it comes with an integrated search. All you need to do is start typing. You say Alex, And while you're typing, it's filtering through all of the meta information in your system. So if there's any alarms with that name, if there's any projects, any hosts, any users, any instances, whatever is there is going to be shown to you in this list as you start typing. And then you can jump to any one of those things. You can even type IP addresses. So all of the context is available for search. So I type Alex, and I jump straight into Alex, right? So now the other thing that's unique about the AppFormix platform is that this system can collect all of the metrics for all of the resources that are assigned to, let's say, one single user or one single project, and show you all of them on one consolidated dashboard. So, for example, in this case, we are now looking at a project. It's Alex. We can see that what the allocations are for this project, and what Alex is using from what he was allocated. But then at the same time, you see all the different instances that Alex is currently running. And if you look at the bar here, it shows you the flavor of the virtual machine. It's showing you the physical host that instance is running on. And you can see that the hosts are different here. So no matter where these resources are running in your cloud, you will get the information in this one single view. And in this case, we can see that there's this one instance that we marked it's at risk, right? And the reason it's marked at risk is saying CPU average is above 90%. So we can perhaps go investigate. We can, drill down and see what's going on. Right? So the information is available to you. It looks like that for this instance, the CPU consumption has been high for a pretty long time. We can go back to Alex, or we can, even if we wanted, we can even investigate. We can even investigate what's happening on the host there, on the host on which this instance is running. And everything seems fine on the host, right? I mean, we can even drill in there and look at it. We can perhaps look at, side-by-side comparison of what's happening on the host and in the instance. And clearly, in this case, what you can see that there's enough capacity on the host. It's not overloaded, but Alex's virtual machine is the one that seems to have constant high load. So perhaps it's the application that's running within the virtual machine, and it's not the host. So you can look at then what's happening inside the virtual machine. Now, AppFormix is a self-service user experience, right? Clearly, we've provided you the tooling so that when you receive the call, you can go troubleshoot. But the best part is that perhaps you never need to receive this call anymore, because Alex himself can log in and look at the state of his projects and all his instances. So right here, he can log in and he can see that, hey, my Mongo instance seems to be in trouble. The CPU average is pretty high. He can drill into the chart and visually see what's going on there. And he actually never needs to make the call to you, because he knows that it's his instance and not the host. So this is where the AppFormix tooling becomes really useful. Everything that's available is designed in a way to be consumed both by the operator and the users in the organization. One thing to note, though, is that when the user logged in, the view of the physical infrastructure was not shown to the user. So Alex is not shown what host he's running on. He just gets this view of all the instances in his project, and you can get this instance level view. Now, let's go back to the operator view and look at the next scenario. So, dashboards are great, metrics are great, and sometimes when you're troubleshooting, it's very useful to have this real-time view. However, nobody's constantly sitting on a dashboard and staring at it and waiting for something to go wrong, right? We all have several things we are working on at the same time. Integrated into the AppFormix system is this advanced alarming and notification capability. And I'm going to demonstrate that for you next. So let's take a look. So AppFormix supports alarms both with static thresholding and dynamic thresholding. First, I'm going to do an alarm with a static threshold. First, I'm going to do an alarm with a static threshold. Let's do something simple to make sure that we can visually see what happens when we do that. So I'm going to set an alarm for CPU greater than 1%. So right here, I set the alarm, and then you get to scope the alarm. You can set alarm policies for either physical hosts in your infrastructure, or virtual machines in your infrastructure. So let's set this for the host. And then when you set these policies, you can either target them to a particular aggregate in your infrastructure, or let's say your entire infrastructure. For now, let me place this alarm on an aggregate called production. What that means is that if there's any host in this aggregate, it's going to automatically get this alarm policy. I'm going to say generate alert for CPU usage. But before I do that, I want to point something out to you. So we've taken somewhat of a hybrid approach to selecting the metrics that we display to you on the dashboard and the metrics that we make available for alarming for you. So many of the metrics from the physical infrastructure we do not display. So for example, the thermals on your CPU, we do not display them second by second to you. However, we make them available for alarming. Similarly, the smart counters, we make those available for alarming. Let me set this alarm for the CPU usage, and then average. And in the AppFormix system, it's a very responsive system. You can take the alarm interval down to 1 second. I'm going to say when the CPU usage over 1 second is above 1. This is a simple panel. You can always click on the Advanced tab to get more control over the window in which the alarming is done, as well as if, let's say, you wanted this alarm to be tied to a third-party notification service like PagerDuty, you can do that here as well. You can send it to PagerDuty, or you can write your own custom service as well. And you hit save. So as soon as I save that alarm, we can see that the alarm policy was pushed to all the hosts in my infrastructure, in hosts who are part of this aggregate in the infrastructure, right? So I can select production, and I can see that in the production aggregate, I have 3 hosts, and the alarm policy was pushed to all these 3 hosts, and now it's actually active on all of these hosts, right? So this is real time. You set the alarm, the policy is enforced across your infrastructure, and you get the notification as and when the alarm's triggered. Now let me also show you something really cool. So we place this policy on this aggregate production, right? Now let me go to all hosts in my infrastructure, right? And let me add a new host to this aggregate. Right? I'm going to add this new host, ACE93, to the aggregate production. Right? We saw that label appear there. And then let me go back to the alarm. And as you can see, the alarm policy was automatically applied to that host. And now it's also showing that it's active on the host. So this, what this really helps you do is manage infrastructure at scale. So similarly, you could have a policy for a project, right? And as virtual machines are added to the project and removed from the project, the alarms, are added and removed automatically. You do not need to come back in and set new alarms. Now, let's jump into ACE93. And let's look at the charts here. As you can see, like even on our charts now, the alarm is visible. Here's where it was set, and then here's where it triggered. So just on this one dashboard, you can see all the alarms. You can see all the metrics. You can slide this window in, and you can see the history of all of the alarms for this host as well. This top selector always acts as the filter for the view in the lower pane. So similarly to like we did an alarm with a static threshold, you can also do an alarm with a dynamic threshold. And in that case, what you do is you just kind of tell us that, hey, I want you to learn for a certain amount of time, and then based off of that input, just that input, we automatically baseline your infrastructure, construct the thresholds, and then do alarms based off those thresholds. Okay, so let's show you the next set of capability. Now, everything that you see on this AppFormix web application is all written on top of a set of APIs that we publish. And everything that I'm doing visually, you can also control using APIs. So what I'm going to do next is set an alarm policy. To trigger an alarm for a project. And as you can see, the product ships with an SDK. I'm going to what I'm saying is that, hey, this project, if the memory threshold goes above 10 over 1 second interval, then raise an alarm. And I'm just going to post this to the system, and you can see here that the alarm was posted and is now active. It's showing me that for the project Alex, for an instance Mongo running on ACE APA, this alarm is currently active. So this is really useful because as we spin up new infrastructure, you can have the policy stream implemented, and as developers build their applications, they can programmatically set different conditions and then consume these alarms within their applications as well. All these notifications are available on our dashboard. They can be sent to a third-party service. They can also be sent to any resource endpoint that you may have created. Okay, next I'm going to jump to our reporting system. So as part of the system, the Atomic system, you also get to kind of see patterns of usage, like how users are consuming your infrastructure. So first, let's look at a project report. So this is a graphical view of the project, and there's this one project here, and what it's showing me is this summary view that in this project currently there's 8 instances that are running. The flavor of each instance, the cost attributed to each of those instances, what the total consumption looks like, and a high-level trend, using like this simple histogram. So, and in these charts, you can see what this particular, what the consumption of this particular project, how it stacks up against the rest of your infrastructure. So the light blue bar is the aggregate infrastructure, and the dark blue is this project. Now, this is a graphical view. It gives you a quick summary. You can also see all of the raw data, and this information is all sortable. If you can filter it, but it's extremely useful because you can make your users aware of what they are consuming. Right? Many times, what happens is users spin up resources but never consume them. By generating these reports, both operators can generate them and so can users. You can in real time see what consumption patterns look like, and if there's a particular project where you can generate this report for the project, and then you can see that hey, even within this one project, there are instances where there's 8% usage, and then there's these other instances where there's only like 0.5% usage. So perhaps you can consolidate. Sometimes you can notice patterns like there's a large instance that's literally consuming less than 1% CPUs, and maybe perhaps you can scale that one down and reclaim some resources for it, or you can consolidate the smaller ones into a big one. Whatever that scenario may be, you can by generating these reports, you can analyze all the data. Now, the data you can also download the data and import it into any other tool of choice. So this was a project report. Similarly, we have a report for the host. And what this is showing you is for on a host by host, what's running on the host and what utilization looks like on the host, and how it compares, how one host compares to the rest of the infrastructure. Again, there's the cost column there, and that's showing you roughly how much you're charging your users for consuming resources on this host. Next is the detailed view of the host. Again, you can get all the raw numbers and drill into them. You also get the department report, and in our organizations, you often have departments and different projects. The cost from different projects is attributed to different departments, and then that functionality is available as well. And in this one view, you can get a department-by-department analysis as to what the users are doing, what projects they're spinning up, and how much those projects are costing. Really quickly, to show you capacity planning. Now, this is again a real-time view of what capacity looks like in your current infrastructure. So it's showing you that currently I have 6 large instances spun up, 22 medium and 8 small, and based on what the physical resources that I currently have and the oversubscription ratios that I have set in my OpenStack environment, I can currently spin up 1 medium, 12 tiny, and 3 small instances. So if I wanted to spin up a large instance, I can't even do it. Same for extra large. And currently, across my infrastructure, I'm 9% oversubscribed in memory and 19% in vCPUs. And these in the right here you can see the charts that are showing you the trends of how the capacity is increasingly used on the left, and then on the right you can see how availability is going down. Now all of these, again, you can change the time period and generate these charts to do long-term trend analysis. Again, this is extremely important. For example, if a user came to you and said, hey, I'm looking to spin up a new project and I'm going to need 20 VMs, then you can quickly come to this dashboard and see if you have capacity for those 20 VMs and inform the user if you can spin them up or not. What the tool also allows you to do is model how changing the oversubscription ratios translates to increase or decrease in capacity. For example, if you were willing to oversubscribe your memory by 50%, you could come into this to change that oversubscription to 50% and then see if you would then be able to spin up more instances and how they would distribute on your infrastructure. So one last thing that I want to demonstrate is the orchestration capability. Everything that I've shown you so far is about metrics, like that we can generate we can display the metrics, we can run analysis on the metrics, we can tell you when something is running and something is not running, we can do the alarms, long-term trend analysis of capacity planning, reports for consumption usage. The next thing I'm going to quickly show you is migration. So it's very important to be able to remediate bad situations as well. So this is on this cluster, I have 3 hosts on which I'm running 4 instances. And as you can see, I mean, there's all these instances running on this host. Now, sometimes you may have a situation where you need to migrate an instance off a host. Perhaps the host is oversubscribed, or perhaps you need to take a host down for maintenance. Then you can again come into our dashboard. You can click on the action tab, and you can migrate this instance off the host. You can either live migrate it and pick a host. Now, you could do this, but even better than that, you can auto-migrate this host. And what that means is that AppFormix, our system, based off all of the analysis that we run on your infrastructure, we determine the best host to migrate this instance to and perform that migration for you. And what that enables you to do is ensure that the workload running on your infrastructure is perhaps running in the most balanced way, in a way that's getting you the maximum efficiency out of your infrastructure.
Thank you, Sumit. Hopefully you've been able to follow the scenarios as Sumit's been able to demonstrate them and see the power of the AppFormix tool. It really becomes an obvious reason of why Rackspace has chosen to partner with AppFormix to enable this as an integrated component of our private cloud solution. The power that this provides our cloud operators as those hands-on operating our customers' clouds, understanding the capacity and scaling needs of them, but then the power that can be extended to the cloud users themselves, giving them control and visibility over their virtual workloads running on that infrastructure. It's a very powerful tool. So thank you, Sumit, for that demonstration. We do have a number of questions that have been presented through the chat window. And again, as we walk through these, if it spurs other questions, please don't hesitate to put them in. The first one I kind of touched on, but let me kind of elaborate. You mentioned that Rackspace is integrating this into their private cloud offering. Does it cost extra? So as we've partnered with AppFormix, our intention is to include the core of their platform as part of our managed service delivering and operating OpenStack private clouds. As such, we leverage this tooling and platform with each private cloud that we will deploy, and it again enables our cloud operators to have this power and insight and visibility. We will extend that to the admin role for our customers as well, and as an included component of the Rackspace private cloud offering, so there's no additional charge. The ability to extend that to the cloud user, and again, enabling each of your tenants to have capability of this and their own tenant view of that platform or of their utilization of the platform, the insight into utilization, leveraging some of the orchestration capabilities. That is an additional offering that we are reselling of the AppFormix solution, enabling that. But the core platform and enabling this visibility and reporting to our admin roles is an integrated part of the Rackspace offering. Sumit, I think this next one is for you. There's actually two separate questions that I'm going to couple together. The first is, do you publish an API, and what capabilities are available using the API? And then as an add-on to that from a different requester, but it's related, do you have a Ruby library for the API?
So thanks, Brian. So we have a well-published API. Everything that we're doing on our, that I demonstrated for you using our dashboard was essentially making API calls to the system in the back. It's published, and we currently have a Python SDK that ships with the product. I'm sorry, we don't have Ruby, but we are happy to put it high up on our list. And again, every single action that we took on the dashboard can also be taken using the API.
That's great, thank you. This next one, does this require an agent to be installed on the individual VMs? Sumit, would you mind?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I should have covered it. So absolutely not. AppFormix does not install any agent in the VMs. Whatever we do is strictly limited to the host. As part of our system, we've implemented a thread and process level monitor that's essentially performing all of the monitoring on the host, and then from the context that we're getting from there, we can do the mapping from what's happening on the host and show you essentially what's happening inside the VM. We do not touch the VM, and it's strictly contained within the host.
That's great, thank you. I know we touched on the power of AppFormix and the emergence of containers as a technology as well. We've talked about kind of DevOps, and as entities are working with DevOps to interact with their infrastructure as code and using APIs to provision and manage infrastructure. One of the key themes or questions that arose was around the ability to use AppFormix and its support for working with Kubernetes. Can you maybe speak to that a little bit, Sumit?
Yes, again, a great question. So this entire dashboard experience that I just showed you, the metrics, the capacity planning, the reporting, the alarms and notifications, all of this, the exact same experience, exact same dashboard, exact same set of APIs, it works across both OpenStack and Kubernetes out of the box. So it's a universal platform for cloud operations. And again, even to the Kubernetes community, we also do bring the role-based experience to that community as well using our dashboard.
That's great. This last question, I think we kind of answered as part of the demo. It certainly came in early on, but maybe just to tie it back and restate, can this be used for application monitoring, not just the cloud? So I think maybe, Sumit, I'll kind of give my perspective on this. Sumit touched on this where we can look at the threads and the process themselves that make up those virtual machines, those virtual instances running on that, and then leveraging the aggregates model as a way to logically group different applications or running sets of virtual infrastructure into a common view that would be tied to a view of my application. There's a number of dimensions that allow you to really get that overview of the performance and health of a given application, setting up those monitorings and alerts to it. So I think hopefully through the course of the demos, we're able to really illustrate the power and capability of this, not again just for the physical infrastructure and underlying services that make up the cloud, but again, those virtual instances running as well that make up those application tiers and the workloads that our customers and different users are running on the cloud. So great. That's kind of the end of our Q&A session. If you do have additional questions, please feel free to send them to us directly. I can be reached at brian.thompson@rackspace.com or my colleague Sumit at formix.com. We would certainly welcome any follow-up questions that didn't come up or that you didn't feel were answered over the course of the presentation, or if things occur to you later on. And with that, this concludes our webinar. Thank you so much for joining. Again, any follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out to us directly and email those. And we thank you for your time. Have a great day.